Gundam.tk presents High Grade Danazine. What's up again, everybody? It's Robert, 184, 2Rs, 2Bs, GundamReviews.net, and I wonder if Char's gonna get whacked by the tail there, or if he's going to get just barely. Anyway, you've already seen the unbox, the parts, and the mobile suit, including its transform mode for this High Grade Danazine, the new grunt suit from the 3rd generation Kyo saga of Gundam Age. Anyway, it's time to hear this is my final thoughts, and of course, why don't you take some of this information and then apply it to how you feel about kits, and then you can make the call whether you want to pick it up for yourself. To start with the negatives first, I don't know how people would feel, but when you crack open a 1500 yen Gundam and you look at the A-plate and it's only got one color, and you look through all the plastic that you're going to be getting, substantial amount, but you're only getting 2 colors, I wonder if there's going to be quite a few people that are somewhat disappointed with that. They could have gone in a different way for this laser there that's attached on. Haha, in a funny place. Anyway, you could have had a clear part there. You could have painted it up. You could have had a clear part on top of the seal to make it stand out more. There's just things that could have been done on that A-plate, and they decided not to. Just going with the 2 colors sort of makes it feel like an advanced grade in a way. In terms of the other parts, you've got these ears, the winglings as I was calling them, and the face covers there. They all have fallen off a number of times. The ones on the face, they actually don't seal up all that well. It would have been sort of nice if they sort of had those 2 an offset part on either side, so that when you put them together, they sort of click in or something like that. Anyway, it just would have sealed it up and sort of made it look a little bit more intimidating, because right now it's either going to fall off or it's not going to be as close together as you'd like sometimes, and it's just not quite a 100% perfect fit. For these ones, it's cool that it rotates, but again, they fall off too easily. In terms of the actual weapons, well, what are you getting? You're getting nothing. You are able to move the hands here. They could have put some beam sabers on there or thrown in some beam sabers that would have attached on. You do get an extra set of hands, but you can't really call that a new set of weapons when they both got the same beam Vulcans in them. Anyway, it just sort of seems that if you're spending 1500 and you get 5 plates, that there'd be a weapon thrown in there somewhere. Outside of its fearsome appearance, I don't know what it has to throw at people besides that unfortunately placed laser and whatever he's got in his head. The transformation itself is going to be okay, I'm just going to call this. It's not as good as the Zetas. I'd say it's better than the Zetas' Beast mode, better than the Duck mode. So it's pretty much going to be the best of the UE suits, now that I actually consider it here. But at the end of the day, all that you're really doing is bringing the arms forward and putting the legs back, so it's hard to even call this a transformation. But then again, dragons have to fly, and if they're going to fly, they might as well fly streamlined and protect their most important parts up there. Also, the wings themselves, they could be a little bit more posable. They're fairly posable in that you can bring them forward and seal them and cover up the body, as you may have seen earlier. But they could be more, and then you could do all sorts of cool stuff, even more streamlined stuff, and just make it look a little bit more dynamic as he stands there screaming. Anyway, they're good, but they're not as good as they could have been. Now, probably one of the biggest issues, though, is that there's going to be a lack of an action base. We've seen it with the high-grade Age 3, and we've seen it with Age 2, and a lot of other kits. If you've got a kit that's designed to go up aerial, you're going to have to go buy an action base too. Otherwise, it looks like you've just sort of got a snake crawling around with arms, which doesn't make sense. But anyway, it's really not going to be impressive unless you get it up. Now, that's said of most transforming Gundams. We've just seen action bases. We've got 5 plates. A 6th with that little or a half plate with the action base would have made some people's lives easier. But the biggest issue for this is that ultimately, what are you going to do with it in terms of posing? Well, you can have them looking angrily down, you can have them looking angrily up, off to the side, I suppose, and you can close the wings, but that's not going to look really all that impressive. The lack of poses is probably going to bug some people, but then again, if they're good poses, perhaps others can easily forgive it. Moving on to the positives. When I did open it up and I saw the 2 plates and 1500 yen, I didn't really think about it because ultimately for me, you're getting 5 big plates and at 300 yen a pop. It is very cool when you see the end results around the box of what you should be getting and what you can see right now in front of you. Of course, putting it all together has to be fun, and this is very unique. There's nothing like it that I've built in all of Gundam. We've seen some of the UE suits have some similarities, but to see such a big massive tail there, the neck section, the wings with the 2 parts, the arms and the legs, those are pretty standard. But overall, putting this together felt 2/3 new, and that by itself, 20 kits into the age line, is certainly a pleasant surprise, especially considering that it's been following up on other grunts that we've seen along the way. In terms of posability, the legs and the arms are going to move well enough. You don't really expect them to move all that much. You can have the knees bend in a few awkward directions, but I suppose that can make him look more dragonish. The arms are going to do the job. They're going to get the beam Vulcans where you want them to be. But ultimately, the posability for this guy is not about the limbs, unlike with pretty much every other Gundam. It's all about what you can do with this upper body, the neck, the fact that you can actually open up the scales there, have that move around. The head's on a polycap that's going to move, but even more impressive has to be that tail. The fact that you've got those sections, one sticking on the bottom with one part and one staying on the top with the forward part kind of thing. They're going to move, and they're going to move well. They're going to pivot up. They're going to spin around to the front 180 degrees so you can go and trip somebody up that way. Basically, I think that the tail is one of the coolest parts, and that by itself is almost worth the purchase, especially when you consider that you've got those black scales all up and down the body. The wings themselves, they move well enough, I'd say. The fact that you can close the body is pretty good. I would have liked that they could rotate more up and down, but with the way they were designed right now, you can't really do that without some extensive modifications. But they're certainly going to do the job, and they're going to look good pretty much in this one standard pose, and you can sweep them back at least and have them sort of in the, like, all the way back. Anyway, that seems to be enough, I'd say. The big things for me, though, the two color wings. I've talked about this, I think, right from the beginning. You've got the green parts. When you take a look at the Gaffran, what are you going to see? You're just going to see some cheap blue plastic there, front and back, one thin slice there, one thin sheet. With this one, it looks like you've actually got a little bit of substance, and it's just going to make it look even cooler, because as the wings are coming forward, you'd think that they'd be in the shadows, and the fact that they're in shadows, of course, you're going to get that from the light in your room. But the fact that you've got that gray, with the green around it, is just going to really help make this guy pop. I think if he had green wings, he wouldn't be anywhere near as cool. And something else that's really important is you may have seen that this guy can actually balance fairly well, because the legs are going to move, and you've got that tail. You can adjust the tail, bring that up, and play with that. And you can just move the legs in pretty much any direction in terms of this way, and you can even bring the whole bottom, the body section up. You can do all sorts of things. You don't have to have the tail on the ground, which is a big plus, so you can have either Angry Dragon looking down, but you can't really have him leaning all the way forward with the tail protruding up backwards, up in the air. That's not going to work out all that well. For the final verdict, though, there's really no doubt in my mind that this kit, yeah, it's got a few drawbacks. The transformation so-so, the wings could move more, lack of an action base, but anyway, we're used to those kinds of things. Anyway, this is a unique kit with some great plates. When I looked at all these parts, they were very interesting on the plates. They were a lot of fun to put together. He only has a few poses, but they're great poses. I mean, he's an angry dragon. What else can you say? And he looks the part, and he does it with aplomb. The transformation's good enough. It's going to look like a relatively decent flight mode compared to the Zedis' duck, where even Zehart in that few episodes where he had him with the ZSR couldn't really make all that cool. And at the end of the day, if you stack it up compared to some of the other grunt suits in the UE Vagan army, I'd say that this has to be the best of the bunch. And right there for that, it's a dragon that looks cool, and it captures the power of the anime, and besides, all it's going to do is go wreak havoc and then get destroyed. And I think that nothing looks better doing that than this, especially with the old homage to the Zaku colors. So how about the future as we look at the grunt suits? With the Gaffran getting unceremoniously dumped as a master grade, apparently the interest just was not there. And all we've got so far is we've got 4 master grades confirmed so far, and it looks like it may only be the leads. So things like the G-Axis and G-Bouncer and anything else that people are looking for. But there's a large market of people out there that want grunt bad guys. Whether it's talking about wing or anything else, there's been a lot of suits that have been overlooked over the years. And it looks like 1/100th may be overlooking them all for age as well. However, if there was going to be a grunt suit, you'd imagine that Zehart's suit may get master grade at some point. But which of these would be your choice? The Gaffran seemed like it was possible, designed, and then it didn't happen. Dorado, Bacto, probably not going to cut it, so that would sort of leave the Danazine as the logical choice. If anybody was going to get that, of course the Vagans may be getting more grunt suits as they go on for this 3rd generation or the 4th. But anyway, why don't you let me know your speculation, and, of course, I'd love to hear your verdict on this kit. Is it too silly, not Gundam-y enough? Is it a good kit, a bad kit, a good build, a bad design? Anyway, I'd love to hear your thoughts. For me, it's a lot of fun, and I'm really enjoying putting together these Vagan grunts, which is something I normally wouldn't be saying, but they're unique enough, and they're certainly going to add a lot of color to the shelf, especially with that red leader and the pink ranger out there too. Anyway, everybody, as always, thanks for watching, and stay tuned for lots more Gundam Age kits, all of the high grades, all of the advanced grades will be here. You can check out their reviews, and in the meantime, always check out my channel for whatever new stuff will be coming out. Thanks for watching, everybody. See ya. What's going on down there with the tails looks like something out of Avatar, or so it seems. Look, I called Green Ranger a long time ago. Well, maybe I could be a 6th Ranger. I mean, I am very Dragon Zordish.